Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's Bob Proctor presentation. My name is Rebecca Hansen and I am the program director for Bob's year-long coaching program, and it's my pleasure to welcome you today. So Bob is considered by many as being the grand master of mentoring. He's been in this business for a long time, and he was working in this industry for approximately 40 years when he was catapulted through the hit movie The Secret. He's been seen on Larry King, Ellen, Nightline, and countless magazine articles and interviews. And today he's working with people all over the world. In fact, this call today represents more countries than I can count. So where did it all start? It all goes back to 50 years ago when Bob was gifted with the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And so many lives have been changed for the better, and so many people have benefited from Bob's 50 years of dedicated study and application of this material. And to help you understand what you can accomplish by studying with this man week in and week out for an entire year, Bob will be sharing with us today 6 great lessons he believes will benefit you. And you might even consider today's presentation to be an introduction to his year-long coaching program, as it really lays the foundation with these 6 key lessons. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce the man of the hour, the reason that we're all here, Mr. Bob Proctor. Bob, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Becca. I am very pleased to be here and share this information with you. What I've done actually is I think I've created a map for you to continue your success journey. I sat down and took a look at what happened to me over the past 50 years and put it together in a program to help anyone do what they really wanted to do. We've got phenomenal power locked up within us. It's just a matter of learning how to utilize that power. All science and all theology teach us nothing is created or destroyed. Now you might ask, well, what does that really mean? It means that everything's already here and not in one state, in another. And what we're really seeking is awareness, but hopefully we'll see that a little clearer in a few minutes. I'm going to take you back, first of all, to where I started with this, what happened to me, what I learned from it, and how you can benefit from that. I sat down with a man a little over 50 years ago, and he wrote an R on a sheet of paper, and then he put these 3 letters down beside it. He said, Bob, let that first H represent happiness, the second one health, and the W is for wealth. Then he asked me if I thought he was a happy person. And I said, yeah, he seemed pretty happy to me, and he did. He asked me if I'd ever seen him sick, and I said, no, I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke, when I didn't have money? And I said, no, the guy always had money on him. Well, he said, you know, Bob, you've got to be one of the most miserable people I've ever met. He said, you're not a happy human being. He said, now, you're always sick. You don't have a terminal illness or anything, but you've always got a cold or a backache or something. And he said, you're always broke. Now, he was actually being kind. I was earning $4,000 a year, but I owed $6,000. Things were not getting better. They were getting worse. See, if I had taken everything I earned for 18 months to pay debts, I would have just broken even, and I would have had nothing to live on. So you know that that's not practical. It's not a solution. And I just couldn't see an end or a way out. And he said, Bob, well, I'm going to give you a way out. And he introduced me to this book. Now, he said, listen, after talking to me for a while and cut this story short, he said, you're spending all your time thinking of reasons why you can't win. I had no formal education to speak of. I had no business experience. I had a bad work record. And he said, those are the reasons you can't win. Have you ever stopped and really looked at all the reasons why you could? Well, I had to admit I hadn't done that. And he said, if you will do exactly what I tell you to do, if you will do what you perceive the author of this book is telling you to do, your life will change, and it'll change so dramatically, you'll probably have a hard time believing it. Well, that's exactly what happened. 1 year later, I was earning $175,000 a year. Now, somebody said, well, what were you doing? I was cleaning floors. I was prepared to do anything honest to earn some extra money. One of the main things in the book was you got to set a goal. You've got to write it on a card. You got to carry the card in your pocket all the time. I do that today. I've been doing it for over 50 years. Well, I set a goal of earning $25,000, and I was prepared to do anything honest, so I started to clean floors. You know, in less than 5 years, I was earning over $1 million a year. I was cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. My life had changed like night and day. Now, the one thing I've learned that is an absolute prerequisite to success is you have to have a goal. Goals are really the deal. Success is about goals. It's about achieving goals, being aware of what you're doing. Now, I think every success program or every good book that you read, any recorded material you get into, every seminar you go to, that's one of the first places people will go. Why? Well, because the average person is not doing that. Most people are extras in their own movie. Somebody else is directing their life. And so you go to the meetings and they sit down and they get you to decide what you want. What do you really want? Well, you know, I go back here and I think something I picked up a long time ago. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Now, so you have to ask, well, what is the one main thing? Well, we get one life. We've got one bite at the apple so far as we know. So it's about lifestyle. It's about contribution. It's really about how we spend our days. I think that's what's important to you, and it's what's important to me. And we know that goals have a lot to do with that. Now, I teach in programs. Earl Nightingale's definition of success is the best one I've ever learned. I spent 5 years working with Earl, and I've spent my whole life studying what he put together. And he said success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, it took me a long time to understand that. And you may think you understand it, and you might not. Next year, you might understand it different. Because we become more and more aware of these things. Now, I know when you're setting goals, there's 3 areas that we go to. We set a goal to do what we already know how to do. That's not going to take us anywhere. Or we set a goal to do what we think we can do, and that doesn't really work either because there's no inspiration in that, and you're not going to get a lot of support. If you're really going to make things happen, you've got to set a goal to do what you really want to do. Now, you've probably heard that before. We hear all this information, but we don't necessarily do it. And I think we have to ask ourselves why. See, when my income went over $1 million, I had 2 months high school formal education. I did have a bad work record. And I was doing what I wanted to do, but if you had asked me, I couldn't tell you why I was winning. And I wasn't satisfied with the fact that I was earning a lot of money and I was winning. I wanted to know why. Why? What happened? I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. And I knew I wasn't that smart. I'd been raised to believe if you're going to do well in business, you've got to have a good formal education. Well, I really didn't have any formal education. So I thought, you know, there's something missing. And I decided I was going to find out why I changed. Now, I was studying Napoleon Hill's material, and I found Napoleon Hill was mentored by Andrew Carnegie. So I started to study Carnegie. Now, here's the basis of all of Carnegie's work. He said any idea that is held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered. So this goes both whether you're afraid of something happening or whether you believe something's going to happen, good or bad. It'll begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Now, that is a very powerful statement. And I guarantee you, you get in our coaching program, it runs for an entire year, actually 13 months. That statement would look totally different to you at the end of 13 months. Now, you may be saying, well, how would that happen? Because you're more aware of it. And I started to study, and I started to study Carnegie stuff. I started to study everything I get my hands on. Then I became aware that Napoleon Hill sort of passed his information along to Earl Nightingale. Carnegie gave it to Hill. Hill gave it to Nightingale. And I decided I'm going to go to work with him. So after pretty considerable success in the office business, in the cleaning business, I left it all, and in 1968, I went and I joined the Nightingale Conant Corporation. I became their vice president of sales. Now that's a picture of me with Lloyd Conant and Earl Nightingale. They're both deceased today, but they're two of the greatest individuals anyone would ever want to meet. And I had the very good fortune of working right beside them for 5 years. I learned so much from them, and I got the answers to my question of why did I change and how did I change, and that's where I want to take you right now. I want to talk to you right now about potential and about paradigms. I know that high percentage of the people that are on this line become very puzzled because they're trying to win and they're struggling. They're reading books and they're listening to recorded programs and they're still struggling. And you might not know why. Well, there's an answer to it. And the answer lies right there in paradigms. You see, if we don't change the paradigm, nothing happens. Now, to do that, we have to understand what a paradigm is. To understand what a paradigm is, we have to understand something about ourselves. That was one of the first things Ray Stanford asked me. He said, Bob, who are you? I said, what do you mean, who am I? I thought it was a dumb question. I said, I'm Bob. No, he said, that's who you think you are. But that's not who you are. He said, Bob and Proctor are two words. That's your name. That is not you. It's your name. And I pointed at my body and I said, well, then this is me. No, he said, that's not you. He says, that's your body. He said, do you study anything? I said, no. He says, that's what you've got to do. He said, you've got to find out who you are because it's you that has to change. Well, I found out that you and I are spiritual beings and we're living in physical bodies. I found that spirit always manifests through its polar opposite. You and I are God's highest form of creation. We have been gifted with something called an intellect. It's a thing that separates us from all of the rest of the animal kingdom. I want you to think of this for a moment. All the little creatures on the planet are totally, completely at home in their environment. They blend in. You and I are the only creature on the planet that is totally disoriented in our environment. Why? It's because we have the ability to create our own environment. And that's what this year-long coaching program is all about. It's showing you and helping you, staying with you and guiding you so you can create your own environment. You can begin to live the way you really want to live. If you're God's highest form of creation, you should be able to have anything you want, and you can. And it's how you use your intellect that's going to determine your emotional state or the vibration that you're in. Now, vibration is a law of the universe. That law clearly states everything moves, nothing rests. The walls that surround you right now are moving. They appear to be still. Get a good, powerful microscope and look at them. You'll see that the walls are nothing but a mass of energy and a high speed of vibration. That's what your body is. If you looked at your hand through a microscope, you'd see a mass of molecules there dancing right before your eyes. You live in your body, and you have control over it. Now, there was a doctor in San Antonio, Texas, in 1934, was appalled at the state of the healing arts. He said, we're not treating the cause of disease at all. We're treating the disease. We're treating the symptom. We've got to go to the cause. And he says, one of the problems, and I found out where everything that I studied started to fall into place. He said, we haven't got an image of the mind. No one knows what the mind looks like. It's the greatest power in all of creation, and we don't know what it looks like. And if you're going to win, you've got to understand how the mind functions. So he said, I'm going to draw a picture of the mind. And there's the picture he drew. Now, when that was first put in front of me, I sort of smiled. The guy said, don't smile. He said, that idea, that image in front of you is going to be the most powerful image you'll ever come up across. Now, he said, let that represent you. That's your conscious mind, your subconscious, and your body. So what I do, I let my head represent my mind, and everything from the neck down is representing the body. Now, the conscious mind has the ability to think. That's the highest function that you and I are capable of. This is our educated mind. This is where the schools are bent on having you collect all kinds of knowledge. We're going to see what happens with that. This is where your intellect is resonant. That's where those high faculties that you've got. We have perception, intuition, the will, imagination, reason. You know, these are all powerful faculties. Now, it's with those faculties that we can control our emotional mind. Now, the emotional mind operates totally different from the conscious mind. The conscious mind has the ability to choose. The subconscious cannot do that. The conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject. You can accept or reject everything I'm telling you. You also have the ability to originate. Now, what does that mean? That means that we can reject all this information about bad economy, about tough times. It's not a bad economy for some people. It's not tough times for some people. Now, for a small group of people, it's always good times. It's always a good economy. And for others, it's always bad. You have the ability to originate an idea and execute that idea. Your subconscious mind must accept everything you give to it. It cannot reject anything, and it cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. Now, what I've just said, I know that you comprehend. You know what I've said. But you know, a year from now, if I said the same thing, it would sound so different to you. So different. Why? It's because we're gaining an understanding of how these parts of our personality function and how they can be changed. Let's take it over here for a moment, and we'll say, this is you today. Now, there's your conscious mind. Remember, we said you had the ability to accept or reject. Why do we accept all this nonsense that's coming at us from the radio, the TV, other people? Why? We've got a reasoning factor here. That's one of the higher faculties. It gives us the ability to think. We've got the ability to say, I'm going to reject all that. But we don't. Why don't we reject it? Well, the truth is we leave our mind wide open, and it goes right into our subconscious, and that's because of paradigms. Now, there is the villain that's stopping your progress. It's also the power that causes you to do all the good you do. We are programmed for both good and bad. The program does not want to change. Paradigms want to stay where they are. How are the paradigms formed? Well, let's close the screen on that for a minute and open it over here. Let's say this is you when you were an infant. Now, when you're an infant, there's how you arrive on the scene. The subconscious mind is wide open. The conscious faculties have not developed. And everything that's going on around you goes right into your subconscious mind. The language that people speak that you're growing into, that's the language you'll grow up and speak. Now, if you're in an English-speaking home and you were taken and put in a suburb of Beijing, you would grow up speaking fluent Chinese, no knowledge of the English language, even although your parents may be white Anglo-Saxon American and speak in English. It doesn't matter. It's what you're surrounded by. You know that almost all welfare recipients are third, fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of an environment was I born into? Now, at the moment of birth, you were programmed. There's genetic conditioning. But then there's also the environmental conditioning. See, it's way back there when you were an infant that your self-image was formed. That's what causes some people to be so introverted and others so gregarious. See, the self-image is one idea. The paradigm is a multitude of ideas. Well, we're programmed to live the way we live. So it shouldn't be any doubt, that that's the way we're doing it today. We just go along with our mind wide open. Now look at this for a moment. Here we are here. School gave us valuable knowledge. We've got all this knowledge locked up in our mind. However, school never taught us how to alter the old paradigm. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. See, the odds are you already know what you have to do to win. You could sit down and say, if I did this, that, thus, and so, I would be much more productive. But it's not your conscious mind that's controlling your behavior. It's your paradigm that's controlling the results. And until you change the paradigm, nothing changes. See, what happened to me, I changed my paradigm. I didn't understand what I was doing, but that's exactly what I was doing. And when I changed my paradigm, my life changed like night and day. Now, I want you to consider, I want you to look at the areas of your mind. Look at the areas of your life that your paradigm has enormous influence over. It has an influence over your perception, how you utilize your time, your creativity, your effectiveness, your productivity, your logic, and your ability to earn money. Now think of this. All of these areas are literally boxed in until you change the paradigm. Now when the paradigm is changed, that box folds up and blows away. What I did was change my paradigm, and then over a period of time, I started to expand all these areas of my life. Now it took me a long time to figure that out. Now when you change your paradigm, everything starts to change. Just imagine how your entire life will change as you begin improving all these areas of your life. The change will be huge. And get this, permanent. It's not just a flash in the pan. You didn't just get motivated. I want you to imagine what would happen if you just made better use of your time. Do you think that would impact your ability to earn money? I went into the Prudential of America many, many years ago, raised their sales by hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating. It's all documented in the Prudential of America's books. I got the people to be in front of a prospect before 9 a.m. Their paradigm was taking them to their office. Their paradigm was keeping them talking to each other. Insurance agents talking to other insurance agents until noon. Then they'd go to lunch together, and then frequently they'd go home, and they wouldn't go on appointments until the evening. I had them in front of a prospect before 9 a.m. The sales went right through the roof. Stop and look at what you're doing with your time. Do you know that everybody gets the same amount of time? We get all there is. Now think about that for a moment. You get all the time there is. So it's what we do with it that makes the difference. Consider this for a moment. We're going to show you how to build an image in your mind, how to plant that image in your subconscious mind, and when you do, the vibration you're in changes, and so does the attraction. Now, think of this. When you impress an image upon the subconscious mind, that image dictates your vibration. Then whatever's in harmony with that vibration is attracted into your life. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what am I attracting in my life? Well, I'll tell you how to figure it out. Your results are going to answer that question for you. By their results, by their fruits, you'll know them, you know. That's the way it works. Now, what do you want to attract? See, that's the key. And that's where we take people. Over a 13-month period, we show you how to decide what you want. Our coaching program deals with wants. We deal with change. We show you how to change the paradigm. And when you change the paradigm, your whole life begins to change. Nothing is the same any longer. Imagine the awareness, studying every day for an hour. I would be working with you all the time. I would be able to transfer the understanding that I've got from my mind to your mind. That's what mentoring is about. It's about shifting the awareness, the understanding, the knowledge from your mind to the other person's mind. There's millions of millionaires around today. Anyone can earn $1 million. I can show you how to do it. It's all about learning. It's about paradigms. It's about change. You see, the third lesson here is a good one. It's about awareness and effective study. Earl Nightingale taught me how to study. I'll show you what I mean. We'll take this book, and let's take one paragraph out of it, just one paragraph. Now, if you were to look into this book, I have it with me all the time, and that paragraph is highlighted. There's actually 2 paragraphs there, and I'll emphasize both of them. Now, I've blown it up for your benefit. Hill said there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. This state of mind must be belief, or hope, or wish. Now, he said open-mindedness is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. See, there's the key there. You've really got to believe you can do what you want to do, and most people are not there. This is where they're operating. They're operating with hope or wish. And we've got to get to belief. Now, when we get to belief, our whole world changes. That's when we're ready. Our belief system is based upon evaluation of something. And frequently when we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. Now, this is the point here where I was stuck. I know that there's only two sources of reference to go to find out about yourself, science and theology. I started to dig into religion. I dug into all the religious books, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament, the Book of Mormon. I studied, and they all said you've got to believe. There's no exception to that. All great books on psychology, every great leader, you've got to believe. And I'm trying to figure out, well, how do you believe? Beliefs come from? How do you change beliefs? And when you start to analyze some of your most cherished beliefs, you'll find out how ridiculous some of them are. And I was having lunch with a mentor who's gone now, God bless him, Leland Valvanderwall. And he said something at lunch that I just repeated to you. And it was just an idle conversation. He said our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. Well, you know, light started going in my mind. That's what happened to me. I had studied. I had reevaluated who I was. I went from having a poor opinion of me to be fascinated with me. Do you know that the blood circulates through your body every 33 seconds? It goes through hundreds of miles of passageway. It carries all the food in and all the garbage out in one sweeping change. Do you know the electrical system, the central nervous system in your body would make the electrical system in a supercomputer look like an absolute toy? Have you any idea the number of electrical charges have to go flying through your body for the simple process of signing your name? When you start to study yourself, it'll blow your mind. That's when you're ready, and that's what this coaching program is all about. I'm going to teach you what I have learned over the past 50 years, and you're never going to find a more serious student than me. And he said, remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. See, I believe I can show anyone how to become a millionaire. It's a simple matter of awareness. Your results are an expression of your level of awareness. And you know, when your awareness is blocked by old paradigms, you're stuck. What we do is show you how to improve your results. Your paradigm must be altered. Now let this little dot in the center of the screen represent your level of awareness. Have you any idea how your results would change if that just increased like that? Have you any idea where you would go? It would be huge. You see, as we increase our awareness, if that dot represents your level of awareness, and we increase your level of awareness by that much, think of how your results would change. It would be enormous. See, a person doesn't earn $50,000 a year because they want 50 a year. They're earning 50 a year because they're not aware of how to earn 50,000 a month. I used to struggle to earn 4,000 a month. I can show you how to do $1 million. Earning money is a game. It's a game we have to learn. It's a game we have to become aware of the rules. There's nothing complicated about it. How do I expand my level of awareness? Well, that's the question everybody's asking. And most people don't know. You do it through effective education. I'm talking about effective education. I'm not talking about going to school and gathering more knowledge. We have all kinds of people walking the streets that have all kinds of degrees, and yet they can't make it. We have people who are functionally illiterate, but are multimillionaires. You see, effective education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw from within. You combine effective education with professional coaching over a reasonable period of time. We recommend 13 months, and then for the rest of your life. And it'll alter paradigms and expand your level of awareness. Our coaching program is designed to expand a person's level of awareness through changing the paradigm. And you'll find your awareness just keeps expanding, expanding, and expanding. There's no end to it. You have no idea where you can go. No one, there is no one alive that can even guess at what you and I are capable of doing. It's been considered by all the theologians and all the great scientists, our potential is infinite. So do you know what it boils down to? It boils down to one thing. We've got to make decisions. We've got to make decisions about ourselves, how we're living, where we're going, what we're going to do. And that is what this program will help you do. It will help you make decisions. your whole life will change. Now, Napoleon Hill wrote a lot about decisions. When I discovered this, I thought I was away to the races. I want you to look now at what Napoleon Hill discovered and wrote about in Chapter 8 on Decision, Think and Grow Rich. Keep in mind, he researched the lives of over 500 highly accomplished individuals. Speed is essential. Of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them, no exception, every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly, change decisions slowly, if and when they were changed at all. People who have failed to accumulate money, without exception, have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing those decisions quickly and often. What do? They say, well, I've got to think about it. That's not what they're doing. They're not thinking about it. They're permitting the paradigm to keep them where they are. That's really what happened. Well, it doesn't work. The fifth lesson here is on money. It's on MSIs. This is where no one goes. Joseph Campbell said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. You get involved in our mentoring program, I'm going to show you how to earn money. Our coaching program can show you how to turn your annual income into a monthly income. You'd say, well, how would I possibly do that? You do it the same as everyone else that's ever done it would do it. It's going to be accomplished by setting up multiple sources of income. Go back to the ancient Babylonians, as far back as you can go, and you'll see they've all had multiple sources of income. This is an area that I specialize in, I focus in. And here's what you really want to grasp. Our world is changing, and it's changing so fast it would almost make your head spin. We have people right now on this call from literally all over the world. If you could have a map in front of you, you would see that every continent is represented. And there was a number of people that were not able to get on. The lines were overflowing. But we will be sending out this presentation to everyone. Now, our coaching program encourages people to set up multiple sources of income. See all those MSIs? That's multiple sources of income. Do you know that you can earn money while you're sleeping? That's right. All kinds of people do. In fact, you can earn more money when you're sleeping than you're going to spend when you're awake. Now, I'm not turning this into a comedy show. This is the truth. And you have to understand that. Earning money has nothing to do with working. In fact, working is the very worst way to earn money. What we want to do is set up multiple sources of income. Now, are they all the same size? No. Some are bigger, some are small, but they all have one thing in common. They all flow into your bank, not mine, yours. I'm going to show you how to do this. You want to learn how to earn money. If that's the only reason you come to this program, it'll do it. Now, the last lesson. What's necessary to change paradigm? It's the power of repetition. Let me show you something. This is why repetition is necessary when changing paradigms. Let the white line represent the sound of a CD or a recording. Let the red line represent you listening to the sound of the recording. So you're going along and you're listening. Now the sound never stops, but you stop listening. An idea will hit you, and away you go on a thought trip. You're up here on a thought frequency. You're not listening to the CD or the recording. You're thinking. You're thinking about that idea. Then you come back down and you start listening again. Do you know that you could listen to the CD or recording, you could listen to something on your iPad 1,000 times and still not think about everything on it? It's the repetition over and over and over again. Well, over 13 months, we approach it from a very interesting angle. We use all kinds of different material to get the same ideas in your mind. Think of how you were programmed when you were a child. When you were just a little child, your mind was wide open, and the same thing was programmed into your mind over and over and over again. Well, that's where we're going. Now, our program carries the endorsement of some of the most powerful people in our industry. I was just talking to Jack the other night. We were at a fundraiser together in Los Angeles. Jack Canfield has fact, he gave an endorsement for a book I wrote. It's not about the money. And he pointed out that after he started studying my material, his income multiplied by a factor of 40. You take a look here at Jay Abraham. He's one of the, well, he is the master marketer, Fortune 500 companies. He was fascinated with the information that I teach, and he says absolutely essential. Vic Conant, chairman of the Nightingale Conant Corporation, is a very good friend. Vic, highly what we do. Now just see, this is where I believe you're at. Buckminster Fuller said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. And that's probably what you've been doing. If you want a big change, to change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. We're going to show you how to build a new model. Now, how do we do it? Well, it's a very effective program. An effective mentor, as I've already mentioned, has the ability to transfer awareness, experience, knowledge, and confidence from their mind to the other person's mind. That's what I do. It's a complete year of coaching by me, no one else, by me. Now, I want you to think about this. It's very comprehensive. It's a multifaceted coaching program. It's personalized success strategies. I was talking to a man the other day who was asking me how our coaching program worked, and I said, well, it's probably quite different than anything you're familiar with. A lot of people think of a coaching program where I'd phone you and I'd say, Harry or Betty, what are you going to do this week? And they'd tell me, and then next week I'd phone them and they'd say, well, did you do it? That's not coaching. That's babysitting. Coaching is when we help you understand your mind, help you understand how to alter the paradigm so that you can start doing what you already know how to do. Very personalized success strategies. Coaching conference calls with me. You know, we have a library of programs and materials that we guide you through. It's advanced mentoring, masterminding, think tanks that you're involved in. Weekly accountability coaching exercises. Massive online support. I mean, this is a full program. This wisdom will be worth millions in your lifetime. If you saw The Secret, John Assaraf started to coach with me. He was earning about $50,000 a year. He's earned up to $18 million. These people gained an understanding of what Dr. Ryan was talking about. The mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Well, I've given you a quick overview of what I've learned over 50 years, of what I want to share with you, what I want to help you understand, the awareness that I want you to become aware of. It's your turn. It's your decision. No one can do this for you. You're the only one that can do it. Now, we have a one-time investment for the entire year is $69.95. However, we're going to reward anyone for speed. All right? We know these people will move fast. So we're going to knock $500 off that. The regular price, $69.95, we're going to cross that out. It's $64.95. Now, we have all kinds of programs to help everybody get involved in this. Right? So what I want to recommend you do is that you go right now to your computer. Go to bobproctor.com/count-me-in. That's bobproctor.com/count-me-in. And I want you to leave your information, and we'll get in touch with you. We will be in touch with you, and we will point out to you just how you can change, what you can change, and then we'll start doing it. I guarantee you, a year from now, you'll need a telescope to look back and see where you were. You know, there's a friend of mine who was in the coaching program, Chris Guerrero. In fact, Chris stayed in it about 3 or 4 years. He just kept going through it. And he said, Bob, when I got involved in the coaching program, I had to use 3 or 4 credit cards for my enrollment fee. But he said, I want you to know I just had my first $1 million month. Well, you may think that's an exaggerated thing, but it's not for Chris Guerrero, and it won't be for you. If that is your objective, become wealthy, this is the place to do it. You see, everything begins in your mind. I don't want you to talk to anybody about this. Don't even look sideways and ask anyone, because if you're asking someone else, they're going to be telling you what they think, and the problem is they probably don't. Follow your own inner guide, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the coaching program. Go right now to bobproctor.com/count me in and leave us the information, and we'll get back to you, and you'll be involved in the program. I want to thank you for coming on today and giving us the opportunity to share this information with you. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.